Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Zelda Speedruns 3. We have got a Link to the Past Crosskeys Tournament 2021 bracket play-in race for you. We've got 3 streams going on with 3 racers on each stream out of a pool of about 15 or 16 runners. And here in the commentary booth to guide you through this seed is James FNX and Cool Papa Bell. Guys, take it away.
Thanks a lot, SayRioX. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the 2021 Crosskeys Tournament play-in race. These 3 runners we got here today, Jay Coper, Mal Xanthalos, and Structural Mike, they all finished 6-2 in the regular season across 8 weeks of Swiss. And now they're playing to try and finish in the top of this race to get into those top 16 brackets. And then alongside me today is Cool Papa Bell 2282. CPP, how you doing? I'll check in a minute. We're just about ready to get started here. If you haven't seen Crosskeys before, everything is mixed up. You got your entrances, your dungeons, your big keys, small keys, maps, compasses, and items are all across the world. And our runners will be trying to figure out the best path to find all 7 crystal dungeons, beat them, and then go beat Ganon.
Yeah, sorry about that. Had a little Discord fail there, but I'm definitely excited about this. We started with 168 runners in this Crosskeys tournament, 8 weeks of Swiss, and now we are down to 16 runners overall in this race, fighting for 10 spots into the bracket stages.
Yeah, it was over 150 people in the tournament overall, and these runners didn't quite get that automatic berth into the bracket stage by finishing 7-1 or better, but one last chance for all of these runners to make it into those coveted top 16 slots. We'll be getting started in just a second here, and we are underway. And a little bit of diversions right at the start. No, actually, all 3 runners are going to start in Sanctuary, where we find some bombs.
All right, Sanctuary actually letting us out into the light world.
Yeah, and with those bombs make it really easy to get these back of escape items, not needing anything else to get into the drop down here. Only Jay Coper going for those items, though, as we get a couple small keys, one to Thieves Town, while the other 2 runners are choosing to head into Houlihan Room, get those extra rupees before starting the seed out.
Yeah, Houlihan early is pretty common in Crosskeys. You really want that early cash to be able to buy bombs whenever you get the opportunity to make sure you're stocked up, and we'll see Jay Coper quickly restart at Sanctuary to take that Houlihan glitch himself.
Yeah, meanwhile, we've got on Mal Xanthalos' side, he's headed to the Uncle drop down where it is Lostwood's hideout for just 20 rupees. Not going to get that. And Structural Mike heading down to the South Shore. We'll take a look at some entrances here. Bugnet Link's house for Jay Coper. None of the other runners are back into Link's house after doing that Houlihan.
Obviously, the Bugnet, the most important item in the game, so glad we got that taken care of.
Yeah, and having beat Aghanim. Not really. Jay Coper choosing to blind check this drop down instead of looking at it from the front. We'll see those 20 rupees. Our other 2 runners grabbing the back of escape items. So that Thieves Town key and also a key to Desert. That Desert key will unlock a couple items once we do find the entrance to Desert.
Yeah, and that's actually a nice one to find early, just because with those 3 entrances to the front of Desert, you very often find it fairly early, so at least one of them.
And Structural Mike did find one of our dungeon locations rather quickly, finding Ice Palace down on the South Shore. Jacob trying to navigate through a dark cave here. And Tower of Hera at the Hylia Fortune Teller. And Swamp right next to it.
Interesting. A lot of dungeons early on, as Structural Mike is the first of our runners to make it over into the Kakariko area. Ooh, a small key on the race game. In Crosskeys, you have to either mirror to get there from the Dark World or somehow find the correct connector that lets out on the left side of the Angry Brothers hut.
Yeah, and that small key is always kind of an adventure to try and figure out whether you're actually going to need it or not, as we find Sarasso's hut down at the Eastern Palace Ferry. An upgrade ferry for Structural Mike, going to pick up the bomb upgrade and 15 free, well, not free, but a full bomb refill by buying that upgrade at the library.
And we'll get another fun surprise here and see what's waiting behind the lumberjack.
Looks like Jay Cooper's going to take this connector first. Finds a connector up to Floating Island, which is one of the better connectors to find. Once you get a mirror, you'll be able to have access to the east side of Death Mountain. You'll have access to that item up there, whatever it may be.
Oh, an absolutely best case scenario there at the lumberjack. We find the uncle drop down so we can get both of these items and not have to beat Aga to gain access to the actual drop down entrance.
Yeah, that's really good news. So at this point, we're looking at what we still have. We have a Kakariko Well and we have a Ganon. And there's just a couple drop downs left. So potential for Ganon to be hidden behind Ganon's tower. Potential for that Kakariko Well to be there as well, which is always an interesting decision if you end up with some Ganon's tower keys early. Cash House in Lost Woods. That's unfortunately there's no easy way to start there, but a nice place to farm if it was a little bit closer to anything, really.
Yeah, we also found a Hyrule Castle entrance in the middle of Kakariko Village. Structural Mike opting to check a few more entrances, maybe look for a weapon before heading into the front of Escape there.
Yeah, Structural Mike does have 14 bombs, so wouldn't have too many problems getting at least the first 3 items out of the front of Escape. Dark Cross might be a bit bigger of an ask. There's a lamp. And that's Kakariko Well. Looked like it was vanilla, or in Lost Woods, one of the other.
In the Lost Woods there, yeah.
So I think that leaves the Fairy and Ganon, and we have 2 drop downs we haven't seen yet. We're about to see one here. Is Structural Mike is going to take a look at Kakariko Well. It is the Fairy, so it looks like Ganon's tower is going to be required today.
Yeah, the actual Ganon fight is in its vanilla location, meaning we will have to beat Aga 2 to open up the pyramid.
Another thing we find in Kakariko is the back of Skull Woods. The one entrance in Skull Woods that isn't in Skull Woods generally. Don't have a sword, don't have a fire rod, don't have a small key. We'll need all 3 of those to beat this entrance and beat Skull Woods at some point.
We also saw a hookshot cave here in Kakariko Village. This is one of the things I love about Crosskeys, is it really kind of feels more like playing a Metroidvania sort of game, where you're like, oh, I found this thing that I can't do yet. I have to remember to come back here once I get the item that lets me do it, right? So it has a lot more of that feel to it, like you're really exploring a new game every time.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of things to find in Kakariko Village, both Jay Cooper and Structural Mike finding Ganon's tower sitting in the middle of Kakariko. You can check a couple items here right now. Not a lot of items right now to explore further, though.
Question in chat. Yeah, the lantern was in the well, which is at the Thieves' Hideout drop-down. So all of our runners should be getting that pretty quickly.
Smith's very close to its normal location, just sitting at Chicken Hut in Kakariko. So a ton of really good dungeon information already in this seed in terms of locations. We found, it looks like 5 dungeons so far, plus Hyrule Castle.
Yeah, and Structural Mike talking to the bomb shop proprietor there, telling us that Ice and Hera are our 2 red crystals. And those, I believe, are both right outside of Link's house, so that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, Tower Hera is at the Fortune Teller, and then Ice Palace is down at Mini Moldorm Cave.
All right, we're getting technically a sequence break here on Structural Mike's screen. That bomb jump to access this other exit from Spectacle Rock Cave is not in logic, but opens up several entrances for him here on East Death Mountain.
Yeah, that bomb jump is a little bit finicky. It's one of the harder ones to pull off, so really well done by Structural Mike to do that first try.
Yeah, what's weird about that bomb jump is actually the X coordinate is important because you're using the wall in a strange way. It's it's weird.
And that's not something you'll see every day. Structural Mike buying a heart to not die up here and get these other entrances checked out. It's really smart, though. Speaking of hearts, we do find a heart container. But Sick Kid and not much else on Death Mountain.
Yeah, I agree. Those 10 rupees that he spent on the heart are basically nothing, but losing access to that entrance up there would feel really bad.
Absolutely. Now we'll take the connector that is in logic. The Structural Mike will fall down and head to the drop entrance of Spectacle Rock. Which pops out in a place you can't go. Can't get out of there right now. So Structural Mike, the first runner through Kakariko, and checking most of the entrances. There's still a couple things that are maybe not checked off for him, but most of Kakariko done for him. Going to take a look now at South Shore, or take a look at Lake Hylian and see these 2 dungeons.
Yeah, it looks like Mike did not make it up into the Lost Woods all the way in order to be able to find that lamp in the well. But it looks like we're going to see a little bit of Tower of Hera with bombs to hit those switches.
Yeah, check out these 2 chests at least. Meanwhile, Melisanthanos heading to Hyrule Castle. Get a look at the front of Escape. Jacob are going to follow as well. And there's our first weapon that doesn't require a lot of money. King Samaria is not necessarily the most effective weapon, but it will be good enough to get through Escape.
And I believe at the moment, all of the stuff past this point is going to not be in logic, because without having the sewer key, you could take that key you got off the first key guard and then just run through the sewers and use it in Dark Cross, but...
Yep, that is correct. So, do you find the GT small? Which, with a required GT, I'm sure we'll find all 4 of those GT small keys relatively quickly this seed, as they're all going to be needed to logically beat the dungeon.
Jay Coper heading down here into Hyrule Castle as well. As usual, I won't say logic isn't important, but following logic isn't important. Keeping the logic in mind is important.
Yeah, absolutely. You're never going to turn down a check if you can do it. But it's very important to remember, and especially in Crosskeys more than I think in any other mode, what things piece together other things, and keeping an eye on that while still being able to race is a skill that a lot of the top runners have that people just entering the mode just like myself just don't have necessarily the best grasp of. One entrance, Hyrule Castle, the main entrance, is going to take us out to Archery.
Yes, both Jay Coper and Malxanthalos setting up that Death Warp there to be able to check these connectors.
And our other Hyrule Castle connector is Bonk Rocks behind Dark Link. So no way back from there. We'll go check a couple entrances here. At least one. Dark Link's house, very close to the bomb shop. And it is just a shop today. Mal choosing to make another check at least. There isn't a ton of things for any of these runners to do in the light world right now, so I guess I kind of agree with Mal taking a little bit of time and wandering the dark world as a bunny.
Oh, big find for Jay Coper there. Gets the hammer out of Dark Cross. That is in logic, doesn't take any keys. We do have the lamp, so that's our first really major progression item that any of our runners have found.
Yeah, and that's a huge find because neither of these other runners have found that lamp yet. Neither of them have gone and collected that lamp out of the Kakariko Well in Lost Woods. So that doesn't change the logic at all for Jay Cooper, and these Mal and Mike are going to have a bit of a time before they go back and check Dark Cross. Mike maybe less so. I don't think Mike actually went through the front of Escape after finding Hyrule Castle, but that's going to be a while before Mal heads there, I think.
Yeah, that could be rough for Malxanthalos, and that hammer just blocks so much of the game. A little bit less so in Crosskeys, since there are entrances like maybe getting into Turtle Rock that you don't necessarily need the hammer for anymore, but it's still a key item.
Yeah, you absolutely need to beat 3 of the dungeons in the game, and then also a fair number of entrances and just quality of life. It's a really good weapon as well right now, much better than anything our runners have. Jay Coper pulling off that bomb jump as well and picking up location of Sick Kid here on East of Death Mountain. And Mike made an attempt at a dark room and looks like it backed out of it.
Yeah, that front of Hyrule Castle entrance is some sort of dark room. I'm not sure what. Very hard to follow what the runners are doing in there.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Mike has any real way of tracking his position inside that dark room. No Samaria yet. Must have Samaria. It went through the front of Escapes. Got to have Samaria. It's not marked on...
No, Mike has not been into front of Escape.
Oh, that's right. Mike has not been to the front of Escape yet. That's correct. He saw it and then bailed. So just no way to track your location in that dark room. And it could be any one of 5 variants of it. So unless you hear yourself drop immediately when you walk forward and then you know you're in Dark Mountain Ascent, it's kind of hard to place where you're at.
It looks like, though, Mike is headed toward the Lost Woods right now, so he'll get that lantern and might progress down and start checking out some of those connectors, including Hyrule Castle in Kakariko again. So,
and speaking of having a lamp and heading to the dark room, Jay Cooper is going to make his way to this Hyrule Castle entrance now and see where this takes us. And this is DMD Bottom. Dark Mountain Descent. Death Mountain Descent. Mal getting his lamp.
that That connector, yeah, just lets us out in the desert area.
Yeah, not a great connector. Both first sphere locations, areas that are checkable without any items. I do find Desert Palace, and J. Cooper does have that Desert Small Key, so we'll be able to get 3 checks here, plus a look at a 4th on the torch.
Desert Palace entrance was lazy today and just moved a couple screens over, apparently.
Misery Mire Big Key, and we know where Misery Mire's at, so going to be a while before that big key comes into play, but we do know where Misery Mire is at, and there's a mirror. That is a huge item in Crosskeys.
Yeah, that is absolutely the best item you can get early on in the Crosskeys seed. Even better than the Moon Pearl, strangely enough.
Yeah, it might even be better than Boots early, just because of all the mobility it gives you. And the one downside of having an early mirror is it definitely increases the number of places that Moon Pearl can be.
Yeah, since we do have access to like the Dark World Bonk Rocks, that means stuff like Bunny Walk over to Cave 45 and then mirror to it. That's in logic. All sorts of options opened up with that mirror.
Yeah, we do see a sword on the Desert Torch. So once we have some boots, I'm sure our runners are going to head back there and grab that sword. And the west side of Desert takes us out on Dark Death Mountain. The nice thing about this, though, is that you can get back from west to east without death warping. I mean, you could just always death warp anyways, but it is possible to walk it out from west to east after entering that entrance from the Dark World.
Another thing about the early mirror is if J. Cooper had found any item caves up there, the mirror does let you do a Super Bunny glitch to potentially be able to get some of those items out of Dark World entrances.
And meanwhile, Structural Mike has found a way up to the top of Dark Death Mountain, as the east entrance of Desert is at Aghanim's Tower.
Yeah, I think that was the Lumberjack House was a connector to Floating Island, so I think that's where Mike went through.
Ah, right. And Jay Cooper's seen that, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him head that direction. But right now we find Thieves Town on top of Hyrule Castle.
So yeah, J. Cooper really finding some important connectors there. Structural Mike taking intentional death to do the Super Bunny or Bunny Revive glitch, rather. Come into a dungeon as a bunny, take a death, and then you revive as Link or maybe Mario, depending.
Yeah, since Mike came into Desert from this entrance and not from the main entrance, he's going to have to do that to collect the items here.
But that means he'll be picking up a mirror in short order.
And Jacob finding a big key to Ice Palace, which is one of the less important big keys.
I was going to say, too, we sort of got away from it because J. Cooper kept finding interesting things, but having that cane and the Misery Mire big key and access to Misery Mire so early is going to maybe make our runners a little bit suspicious.
Yeah, Misery Mire is in the Dark World, so it's still Moon Pearl locked logically. And our runners really... I don't know about you. I don't really want to get into a hammer-only fight with Vitreous.
No. I'll take a pass on that one.
It sounds like a good recipe for a bad time. This hammer is paying off huge for J. Cooper, having a real weapon to get through these dungeons without much danger at all. And now with this mirror, J. Cooper's going to get a look at the item on Floating Island. And through time, all of the entrances on East Death Mountain as well. It's a map of Eastern Palace, so we'll get some dungeon information once Jay Cooper decides to check his map. Typically, runners don't check their map until either they're about to enter a dungeon that they don't know whether the contents of are, or they have enough information that checking a map is likely to give them full knowledge. Find another connector here on the mountain. Boo. There are a couple entrances that are accessible by connector only. That is the least interesting of them.
And so, yeah, Jay Cooper having a lot of choices with what to do with this mirror, but I think this is the correct one. Is going to work his way over to the west side of Death Mountain, because there are a ton of entrances over here to check, and all in logic in the light world. So,
yeah, and since the connector to get to Floating Island isn't too far away from anything, it makes a lot of sense to check out the west side of Death Mountain, as there's only 3 entrances that are inaccessible currently on the east side.
yeah, I mean, he had options for those some of those drop downs, but then you will have to walk back around. So he's more interested in doing the west side first. We saw the Super Bunny entrance there at Tower of Hera. Looks like Jay Cooper's going to save that for last in this trip.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's a one-way, and Paradox came up here too. That's 7 big items, plus a couple of connectors if Jay Cooper chooses to go through them. I would be shocked if he would, though, because there's still a lot of entrances to check up here. TT big. We just went to TT. That's a slightly unfortunate, but won't complain too much about finding that. This mini Wildorm is violating Jay Cooper's rights right now.
I mean, the mini Wildorms are supposed to just run into those cane blocks while Jay Cooper is busy opening chests. I don't know why they didn't get the memo.
And we'll just have to recast them on our other 2 runner screens. And as expected, Jay Cooper choosing to exit the way he came in, stay on the mountain. Another smart decision here, taking the ferry. You don't want to die while you're trying to check entrances, and the boulders on Death Mountain do not care what armor you have, what health you have. They're coming for you.
Yeah, unfortunately, I swear there's just always a ferry somewhere on West Death Mountain, so it comes in handy a lot of the time.
And Death Mountain is sent back, so we're going to get the old man, get an item here.
Indeed, this cave is always guaranteed to be somewhere in this area, so you can return the old man, always.
Just some bombs.
Pretty much all of our runners having the same thought with that mirror of going to immediately check out Death Mountain or Hammer paying more dividends for Jay Cooper as we find Mimic Cave.
Oh yeah, if this is anything relevant, this is going to be just a huge gap in the race. Half Magic is honestly pretty relevant right now, with King of Samaria being one of your 2 main weapons. Still with no sword. Any other magic weapon we find, Jay Cooper's going to have a pretty big advantage in using that weapon. it isn't the end of the world that our other two runners aren't going to find that half magic right now, but definitely a much higher quality of life for Jay Cooper than either Mal or Mike.
Yeah, the other thing that's sort of concerning me for Mal and Mike is if we find some sort of progression, like say we find Moon Pearl in Super Bunny Cave up here, all of a sudden they're going to have a whole lot to do that is not going back to Dark Cross and getting their hammer. So we'll see how that shakes out for the rest of the race.
Yeah, we are starting to run a little bit low on options as to where things might be. There's a couple mirror entrances that we haven't checked out yet, like K45. I don't think our runners have access to Graveyard Ledge just quite yet. I don't think we have a North Dark World connector yet.
Yeah, that big key for Thieves Town feels like it opens up a lot, but logically it's only one check because of the weird small key situation in Thieves.
There's the Skullwoods big key. That's another one of those big keys that is not particularly relevant. It is nice to find before runners do get into the main Skullwoods area, though, so you won't have to come back there. But Super Bunny was not the answer, and this exit for Paradox Cave leads you to the crack in the pyramid. This is actually a huge connector, Super Bunny. All runners will be able to take advantage of it. This is the one cave that is inaccessible in any other way other than connecting to it and mirroring to it, and it ends up being the Desert Palace back entrance.
And so Jay Cooper is electing to a little bit of bunny walking in the West Dark World as we see Structural Mike finding the other end of the Old Man Cave over in the pod area.
It's not a bad connector either. I would expect Jay Cooper at this point to try and make it to Graveyard Ledge.
Well, I don't think we can get back there in bunny form at all because you need to
right.
either... Yeah.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Can't lift rocks, can't slash rush. So no go on that one. We'll be able to check... choosing not to check Curiosity Shop, instead taking a look at the Fortune Teller.
And yeah, we'll see if he opts to go into Skull Woods. Again, that Bunny Revive glitch is not in logic. So, looks like Jay Cooper is sticking more to what the logic might be expecting him to do right now. Maybe look for connectors here in Kakariko, do stuff like mirror to that small key on Maze Race or Cave 45.
Yeah, that small key actually looks pretty enticing right now. It could be the Swamp Small, which we may need at some point. It could be that Thieves Town Small to put all of Thieves Town into logic. We do find a connector in Village Outcast at the chest race. But instead, Jay Cooper's going to head to GT.
Oh, we found that Cane of Samaria, and he's got the lamp. So after sticking to the Dark World logic, I don't know if he's going to just do Tile Room, but he also has the option of doing a very fancy bomb jump over here to get to Compass Room without the Fire Rod.
Yeah, this is an interesting choice. Making that bomb jump on 2 hearts with green mail means he actually can't do it. He has to death warp.
Yeah, and so the fact that he's not death warping immediately probably means he's just going to do Tile Room and then leave.
Like you're gonna take harder damage from the bomb. You're gonna take harder damage from falling in the pit. Like you just cannot do it on 2 hearts. Period. So yeah, I would expect him to leave. So we'll see if he comes back in and tries to cross over. Instead, it's going to head to the Hammerlock side. There is Without boots, there are no chests in logic on this side, but if you do know your bomb jumps, you can make it across. With boots and no hookshot, there is one check that is in logic, but it is also locked behind 3 small keys, so it does take a lot to unlock some of these checks. First bomb jump is successful.
And that first one is the tricky one. It's pretty precise, whereas this one is just sort of a standard. Oh, as he messes that one up, just sort of a standard backup against the pit.
Yeah, and Jay Cooper deciding that discretion is a better part of valor here, not going to spend a bunch of time trying to grind against a out of logic check.
Yeah, that backing up against the pit is a lot easier when you have the sword if you want to spin buffer it, so opting out at this point.
Mal finding an item cave here in Dark Death Mountain, trying to mirror into it to get that mirror bunny glitch, but instead has buried his portal. It does manage to dig it out.
Yeah, the glitch there is just if you use the mirror at the same frame when you enter the cave, you get that Super Bunny glitch. Doesn't help him in the that Graveyard Ledge cave, though, because while you can pick up those skulls, I don't believe you can use bombs as Super Bunny to actually get into the back.
No, I think you're just able to slash your sword and use mirror. So this small key is a pod small, so not the most relevant. But the first pod small is nice. An Aghanim's Tower is sitting in the left entrance of Maze Race. Have not found any keys for Castle Tower yet, but we'll be able to get one item out of here. As long as these guards cooperate, this can be kind of dicey. Does manage to split the uprights and gets Bombos.
Well, that's now sort of interesting. We have Bombos, Hammer, Cane, and we know right where Ice Palace is.
Yeah, we're just sword away from getting in there and potentially full clearing it.
We talked about Hammer Vidi. How do you feel about Hammer Cold Stare?
Equally terrible. Actually, that's not true. Hammer Cold Stare is less of a mess than Hammer Vidi. Just because if you know how to make the fight safe, it's slow. It's very, very slow to make it a safe fight, but it is a safer fight than Vidi.
Yeah, the Cold Stare Puff's a little bit more predictable than the eyeballs and the lightning, so...
Oh yeah, we also need a glove to actually get there.
I've certainly never gotten all the way through Ice Palace without a glove.
Nope, me neither. And Mike going to take our first look at Curiosity Shop. Jay Cooper decided to skip this in his walk around. And it's an item cave. I can't get it yet. Although Mike's going to try and mirror clip in. Or not mirror clip, but mirror glitch in. We'll see in a moment whether he pulled it off. Nope.
Yeah, like you said, you can slash your sword as Super Bunny, so that's an easy way to check if you have the glitch, if you have a sword.
Does get it off this time, and it's just a map for Misery Mire. We are really starting to run out of checks here. Mal's going to take a look at a couple entrances we haven't seen yet. Fairy Ascension top is just Bad Ice Rod Cave. And Fairy Ascension bottom is a shop. So I think the only entrance we haven't seen on the east side of Death Mountain at this point is Spiral Entrance.
believe that's right. And Jay Coper is going to get us deep into South Shore. Probably going to walk all the way around to Ice Rod Cave, which normally you want to put off until you have a glove so you can check the entrance under the rock as well. But we're getting desperate, I think.
Yeah, we're really starting to run out of locations at this point. And for anyone just hopping in, this is the Crosskeys playing match. We've got 16 runners today looking to finish in the top of this race to earn their way into brackets.
As Jay Cooper finds the eye laser entrance to Turtle Rock at the Swamp Palace entrance, and with that cane can get a little bit work done in here with this Bunny Revive glitch.
Yeah, no small key, so we'll have to make a decision on whether to check Lava Chest or check the Compass Chest in the front. Meanwhile, Structural Mike went into Skull Woods and decided to do a little bunny revival glitch and found a really good prize for it in the price of a Power Glove.
Yeah, and that is accessible to all of our runners. I believe that Skullwood's big key was in that Super Bunny cave that everyone found. So that's a pretty big find.
Yeah, not in launch yet, still locked by the Moo Pearl, but definitely going to take it, that's for sure. How do you feel about killing these Pokies with not much in the way of real weapons?
Yeah, glad that they're doing it so I don't have to.
Jacob does have a hammer and does get anti-fairies out of the way.
Looks like Malxanthalos, though, has found the real prize, managed to find Blind's hideout, and has gotten a Moon Pearl and some flippers.
All right, the game is now officially afoot. As that hammer's in logic, that glove is now in logic. We got a Moon Pearl. The world is eventually going to be everyone's oyster, but each of our three runners has one piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. I admit I lost track of where Mal was. Too much to look at here, so I'm not sure where Blind's hideout actually wound up.
I missed it myself as well. We'll find it out on one of the other two screens once they get there.
Our runners did definitely go sort of different ways. Jay Coper did a lot more bunny walking in the west. I think Mal did a bit more in the east, in the pod area. So a lot of different directions you can go at this point in a Crosskeys seed.
And the back of the mountain cave entrance is a Turtle Rock entrance. Turtle Rock locked by Quake. Not going to really care about that. Now we're really at a point in this race where, like I said before, each one of these runners has one piece of kind of the movement puzzle. And we'll see how long it takes for the runners to get to piece 2 or piece 3. Mike finally heading into Escape gets that Kina Samaria. Also has the hammer from Dark Cross. So Mike's put 2 pieces of it together now.
And I think Malxanthalos is going to show us, ooh, she's getting bodied by those guards up there, but going to show us a lot more in the Dark World with that Moon Pearl. So he's going to pick up his glove very soon, headed up towards Skull Woods.
And Desert Palace is our green pendant. this point, we're a little over 40 minutes in. We've only seen one sword, and it's inaccessible to our runners. And little bits and pieces here and there. This is if you're in a big race like this has got to be a kind of seed that's pretty frustrating. It's really open-ended. There's a lot of paths the runners can take, and each piece of progression only seems to be opening up tiny little bits here and there.
Yeah, and it feels like a lot of times in Crosskeys, your sort of last locations, your one-off locations, just feel so much worse to check because it's like, oh, I could walk through 3 connectors and check one more chest over here, or I could walk all the way around Dark World and check one more chest down here, and it's just such a huge commitment. So if you guess wrong, it feels so bad.
Yeah, that does make these non-required big keys that our runners have found, the swamp, the ice, the Skull Woods, a little bit nicer to find early in a seed. Like, yeah, it isn't a big key you need to actually beat a dungeon, but it does guarantee that if you're going to a dungeon, you're only going to be there once. Unfortunately, that Skullwood's big key is only locking a single arrow. And the front of Skull Woods is in the back, which leads to non-fun situations.
Yeah, runners have some choice words for how to describe this particular Skull Woods. Because if you get stuck in the back, it's highly plausible that you won't be able to get out, depending on where this drop down goes.
Yeah, there's a 1 in 4 chance you'll be able to escape. Not this time. 3 of the drop downs take you to that front of Skull Woods, and then the one drop down takes you to the middle.
So we see Jake Hooper is back on the top of East Death Mountain checking these drop downs. It might have been that Blind's hideout was in that spiral cave entrance that you mentioned before.
Yeah, it is a decent possibility. You're not going to find it in these 2 entrances. If I ever looked at them on another screen, shovel is found by Structural Mike. I don't think it led to anything. We get our first look at this entrance, and it's Magic Shop sitting on the dark side of Death Mountain. Our runners do have 1 bottle. No mushroom yet. That's not the worst place to have Magic Shop if one of your starting entrances is right next to it.
And Jake Hooper has just found the back of Old Man starting point lets you out at the Turtle Rock main entrance, so that is some quick access to the top of Death Mountain.
Yeah, thankfully he's already been up there, but can quickly check that spiral cave entrance when he wants to.
And Jake Hooper finding Mini Moldorm Cave down in the southwest on the way toward Desert Palace. Finds the cape in there, which, since we do have access to the top of Hyrule Castle, would get us to that Aga Tower entrance. More one-off places to check.
We've already been there, though. That is one of the Desert Palace entrances. So, while it's a very good safety item, it's not really going to open anything that our runners don't know about yet.
But was it? I thought the Desert Palace was like the left and right. I wasn't sure we had seen the...
No, Desert East popped you out at the Angham's Tower entrance, and then Thieves Town was up there as well.
Oh, okay, great. And yeah, a couple of bottles floating around as well. One in that Mini Moldorm Cave, and one, I believe, out of Skull Woods. So, Sick Kid now available, again, if you want to take that long trip back there.
Yeah, thankfully, with a mirror in this entrance for back of Mountain Cave, getting a Sick Kid does not take that long. And it looks like with this this connector, we see a small key sitting up in the pyramid. As a bunny, you are able to grab that, so we'll see what this one leads to. If it's Thieves Town, that'd be quite convenient. It's Turtle Rock, though. Wouldn't shock me if Jay Cooper just went and beat Thieves Town.
Yeah, I think Mal and Structural Mike both saw a little bit of this. Malxanthalos went a little bit deeper into East Dark World. But yep, Jay Cooper is headed straight back to Thieves Town.
And does have that small key, so we'll be able to full clear this. As Eastern Palace found by Mal at the Thieves Town location.
Yeah, I think the key thing is Jay Cooper is the only one who had the hammer when he was in this spot, so can absolutely full clear Thieves.
And like we mentioned before, as we find Spike Cave sitting in the brewery, Mal has not been back to Hyrule Castle, and it might be a long time before he has a reason to find that hammer.
Yeah, if he's going to do it now, would actually be a really good time to just mirror back to the Light World while he's here in the Dark Village. But we'll see if that's on his mind or if he's more excited about heading down to South Dark World. But I guess the upside of some of that bunny walking that he did before is that he knows some of what's happening over in East Dark World, and so he's narrowed down his search a little bit at least.
Yeah, I'm sure Mal is. Oh, if we find a fire rod in Eastern Palace, that's a very, very good find. I'm sure Mal is like thinking that I just want to find boots. Then I'll go back to Hyrule Castle so much quicker. So we find our first Agnum's Tower key in the attic of Thieves Town.
And checking back in on Ice Palace now with that Fire Rod and Glove. Now we can actually beat Ice Palace, and there's our first sword also on Mal's side. So this Eastern Palace dip paying off huge.
Yeah, Ice Palace beatable, Skull Woods beatable now.
And both Cooper and Mike working their way through Thieves Town. We will see how their hammer blind fights are.
Both these runners have Samaria as well, so it's a decent way to cut a hit or two off the fight safely. Last check in Eastern for Mal. Finds a mushroom, so it's a potential item. Desert map, we already know that is the green pendant. And this is the connector that Jay Cooper saw earlier on Mal's side, this Fairy Ascension Cave, and I don't think Jay Cooper took this connector.
Yeah, again, it came in on the bad side of it, the one that takes a longer time to get through.
Why didn't Mike drop down? Guess once another fairy?
Or might have just slipped into the pit there.
Jacob are having a little bit of problem here with blind. Does switch up to a Kane strat. Gets one hit off that cycle. Gets through phase 2. Mike also in phase 2, using that cape and Kane. Well done by Jay Coper, making it through with no potion. Structural Mike did have a red potion, did crack it, and does make it through as well. As Mal finds a connector up to Turtle Rock Ledge. That's one of the more important connectors to find.
And looked like the other side of that Turtle Rock Ledge was Hookshot Cave.
Which, did we find the other side of Hookshot Cave earlier?
We saw, yeah, in Kakariko somewhere, but none of our runners followed through to the back, so.
Sick Kid just had a map. So at this point, Mal is the only runner that has Moon Pearl. Also has that glove. Does not come back to Hyrule Castle yet to get that hammer. Our other two runners, Jay Cooper and Structural Mike. Mike has the glove and the hammer, but no Moon Pearl. And Jay Cooper, I believe, just has that hammer. No glove yet.
Yeah, so he was our first runner to the hammer, but those other two pieces of traditional Dark World access still pretty elusive.
And finally, Mal is headed to Hyrule Castle and will take a significant advantage in this race. No longer beholden to where the connectors take you. Jay Cooper picking up that Swamp Big in Dark 5 spot. Nice fake flipper from Jay Cooper. Going to head over to Witch Hut. We'll see what's there. I think that's our first look on any of our runners at that location.
Yeah, and it's interesting. That's often something that runners will check right away in Crosskeys. A lot of people will start at the house, fake flipper, check this entrance, and then go over and do the hula hand from there. But in this case, since the sanctuary let out immediately, everyone just hula hand from there, and then that witch's hut sort of got isolated. But just the back of Bumper Cave.
Yeah, it'll be something to keep in mind later when Mike finds that entrance, as Mike does have that cape. None of the runners have found the hook shot yet to go back to front, but Mike can make it through where the other two runners cannot. We still have not found a connector to take us up into the Misery Mire area.
See Structural Mike also thinking about those bomb jumps on the left side of GT, but also having some troubles there.
They are far sure. That first one is far trickier than it looks, especially with since you have no boots to just bypass it. Mal doing some digging. Let's see what we dig up. We find library, which has a heart. And 29 digs for not a lot of reward, it looks like. Here is Spiral Cave, and it is the Spiral Cave entrance that has all our goodies. So, our two of our runners flipped a 3-sided coin and landed on two of the wrong sides. And Mal was the first up here, but Mike will now have his Moon Pearl and those slippers.
Yeah, that's just such a frustrating spot for that Moon Pearl to be, because you've walked past it so many times, but you're essentially doing a whole save and quit to get one entrance, which never feels good.
No, not at all. So, Structural Mike not too far behind Malzanthalos to get normal Dark World access. Is a pretty far behind, though, in having that Moon Pearl. We'll see how long it takes Mike to get to Village Outcast, where we know our next bit of progression is at in Eastern Palace.
Yeah, Malzanthalos doing some more exploring here in the Dark World. With those flippers, yeah, it looks like we're going to take a swim over to the Dark Ice Rod area. It's got the gloves, so we can check 6 entrances.
Yeah, I think we've seen a couple of these so far, but we'll get a ton more new information on Mal's side as we head to the area we like to call the shopping mall.
And I feel like we're going to see Mal dipping into some dungeons in the near future. Going to hit a few of these big high traffic areas in the overworld yet, but then might be Ice Palace as our next stop.
Desert Big at Old Stumpy. That's a nice find. That's a dungeon we can clear.
Yeah, that's our green pendant, but we do have access to Saha, so an extra item off the boss there as well.
Yeah, and I'm always a little suspicious if Saha is very early in logic too, that green pendant might have something. As Jay Cooper finally makes it up to Spiral Cave into Blind's hut and picks up his Moon Pearl.
And we've got his camera on our view. He was remarkably stone-faced at finding that Moon Pearl over an hour into the seed. I don't think I would have been that stoic.
Yeah, I probably would have thrown a victory slash or two in there, that's for sure. But at this point, I think we're, like you said, I think we're pretty well exhausted in terms of entrances, and it's time to start dipping some dungeons and looking for progression in those places. Mal is going to put these flippers to good use, though. We'll take a look at Man Under the Bridge. I assume we'll head on to the waterfall area, check that entrance up there, and not quite Zora rich.
Yeah, that's always unlucky when you look up and see the high 400s, but not quite there. All right, there we go. There's $50.
Oh, our friend under the bridge with the bailout is going to go get a nice steak dinner, but instead just decided to give it to you.
He thought this heart piece that we're going to get off of Zora was more important.
Heart piece if we're lucky. Get a peek at what's at Upgrade Ferry. It is Spiral Cave. We've seen the bottom of this. I've not seen the top. those are two slow checks that are right. Two slow checks that are... One of them is not exactly a one-way, but who wants to walk out as Aura's domain?
Yeah, particularly when that spiral check is always just close to the house, so...
Alright, flippers get you a piece of heart today. What does 500 rupees get you? I'm going to say it's 3 bombs. It's a really poor exchange rate for some bombs. Do you get a map check? Eastern is a crystal. It's a map. For a dungeon we've already seen the result of.
That is some epic level of Zora ripoff there.
On the bright side, and then it's the smallest of bright sides, Mal has not beaten Thieves Town yet. So it is fresh information for him, but not for us. Downside of it is, of course, is now heading over to the pod area is a little less enticing because you can't actually get into pod.
Yeah, he will need to get his rupees back up at some point. Let's find this mini Moldorm cave. The cape is in here, but I don't think anything else of particular interest.
Jacob, we're about to get that desert big key. Meanwhile, Mike is going to be a few rupees short, which will end up saving him in the end. $90 for Mal, that is actually quite interesting for him in the grand scheme of things. I don't know if our runners have checked stun prize yet.
I have not seen a stun prize, so... And yeah, it looks like Mal is headed into Ice Palace.
Yeah, this makes a lot of sense. Mal still also has a red potion, so...
Yeah, and I believe there was a second red in that mini Moldorm cave, so...
Yeah, so plenty of safeties. Not that Fighter Sword Hammer Vidi is, or Cold Stare is free or anything, but shouldn't be too much of a concern for Mal. I would expect runners at this level to... oh no. Oh no, Mike. Whew. Mike was down to 1 heart down in Shopping Mall and getting bullied a bit by these birds. Didn't manage to pop that second potion.
Yeah, and of course, since Mal does have that Bombos and Sword, that's always a nice backup for breaking the Cold Stare shell if he's worried about it, and then you've got some Fire Rod shots for the puffs.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not... It is an average difficulty fight. It is not something that's probably going to worry Mal too much. Pod Big Key, that is a very nice find. We don't know yet if pod is required or not, but that is one of the big keys you have to have if you're going to beat a dungeon.
Yeah, and a clean icebreaker to get through there.
It looks like on Jay Cooper's side, 110 rupees and 1 monkey get you a fairy fountain. Hera Small for Mal. That is that unlocks one item.
That's the rare key that you're happy to go through an entire seed not finding.
It may be a little bit less so in this seed. We haven't found Hookshot yet. We haven't found that Hera Big, so I know our runners all have had a look at those first two checks in Hera, but having the small key when you head there, once you finally either get that Hookshot or that big key, doesn't feel the worst.
Got another pod small out of the Ice Palace big chest.
Yeah, and first half of this desert big key payoff is just a piece of heart and the big chest. Probably going to be a while before any runners decide that Green Pendant Desert boss is the play. And there's a big key from Catfish, and it's the Hera Big.
Yeah, the Hera Big feels a lot better than the small, since you are always going to walk past that chest on the way up, but again, having both of those keys is a little fishy.
Yeah, it's the rare set of keys that don't lock each other. Like, you can clear Hera without the small and be fine, and the small doesn't preclude the big being anywhere. But yeah, having both those keys already does make me want to head that way. I don't know when Mal's going to head over to Catfish to go grab that Hera Big, but really nice use of the fire rod there, getting one of those puffs down completely. Getting bullied a bit by the other puffs and the icicles. Does manage to trap one of those puffs in the corner, get a nice chunk of damage on it. No more safeties though for Mal. Get puff number 2 down.
Yeah, it was a little caught between there, so that was pretty clutch to get that hit in, and finishes off the third one as well.
Yeah, and just the Thief's Town Compass, but Crystal number 1 for Mal. I believe it puts all our runners at 1 crystal apiece. And we have a little bit of interesting decision making on our notes here. So Mike is taking this Tower of Hera big key and immediately heading to Hera. Jay Coper is going to find out what this desert big key gives, as Charter Rock Big is behind the Hera Big.
So both runners chasing those big keys. Mike getting paid off there. I don't believe we have found that entrance that will get us to the Turtle Rock big chest yet, but
no, I wouldn't be surprised if that one's sitting in Mire somewhere. Because we've already seen 2 of the 4 boots locked entrances as well. Mike getting bullied a bit by Moldorm. We'll have to start this fight over again. Jay Cooper getting through land molds. I didn't see what dropped for him, but
I saw what it was and then immediately forgot, so it probably wasn't important.
And the mitts, those Titans mitts sitting on Moldorm, along with crystal number 2 for Structural Mike. That will open up a few more entrances. Mit's not really the massive route changer that it is in a normal non-shuffled entrance seed, but we'll open up a few more options for Mike.
Yeah, stuff like Smith's, the Vanilla Ice Palace entrance, and since we have been thinking about that we haven't seen anything in the Mire area, Flute would now actually give us access to those entrances.
Yeah, absolutely. Jacob, we're finding his gloves and paused for a second to think about what the implications of that were. Hype cave for Structural Mike. Didn't quite see what was in there. I don't know if we've seen that. That is new information. That is at Ice Palace.
Yeah, and that was a bow and Mike's first sword in there.
Oh, that's a pretty good payout. Big fan.
Especially
that is a terrible place for that hair of Big Key too.
Yeah. On Catfish, there are some ways to get there, sort of routing it in either with Mirror, kind of the way you would in a normal seed, or you can take a whirlpool to get up there from the Dark World Shopping Mall area, but it's still not a fun check to get to.
I would rather not for all of that. But our runners are going to have to. Is that Tirehead Big Key very likely required? Still not found that hook shot to kind of bypass it, but
yeah, hookshot or boots. Hookshot especially would feel really good right now, opening up all those items in Hookshot Cave, giving us access to the left side of Ganon's Tower, as well as getting into Mire.
Speaking of Mire, we found the flute on Mike's side of the board. Finally coming back to this entrance that was found a while ago by a couple of our runners, but one of those you can't Super Bunny to.
Yeah, another one that our runners saw so early on without Moon Pearl, but just no way to get that item. This is a sneakily cruel seed. We'll see if Jay Coper heads back over to the west side of Dark Death Mountain at this point. But nope, we're going to drop down. Checking out Sick Kid, I think.
So we now have we found 3 swords. We're only able to get 2. There's one in Eastern Palace, one in Hype Cave, sitting underneath the rock to get to Ice Palace, and then one here on the Desert Torch. We're still looking for a hook shot, most likely. The swamp is more likely than not to be a crystal. Oh, Mike has all the information already. So yeah, it is. Swamp is a crystal. Pod and Mire are their 2 pendants. So we're gonna need a hook shot. We're gonna need to find the dam. If we don't find a better entrance into Turtle Rock, I think we need one more small key for that.
We're gonna need an ice rod at some point.
Yep.
But it feels like Mike definitely has a clear edge in this match now. He's found those mitts, he's got the bow, he's finally got a sword, and it feels like there's got to be something in this Mire area. Bombos Medallion will open up the Mire entrance for one more entrance check.
And an item here at King's Tomb. And we do need the Eastern Palace Big Key as well. We also need the GT Big Key, because GT is required this seed.
And I think the Swamp Small still, or do we have that?
I believe we still need this. Yeah, we still need the Swamp Small.
So yeah, still definitely a fair number of items that we are looking for to hit go mode.
Yeah, it is a lot closer than you expected to, and I think that is something that like kind of sneaks up on runners sometimes as they start doing cross keys. Is when you go from item hunting to go mode can be very quick sometimes. As we do find Palace of Darkness in the Mire area, it is a pendant.
And interesting, Mike comes in with 2 keys, does go ahead and open the front door. So not interested in doing the right side, 100 times to open up a few more checks.
Yeah, if I had boots, I might be more interested in saving a key on the front door, but not really feeling it walking around every time.
Yeah, so we're gonna do the right side once. We're gonna go to the back. We're gonna hammer Yump over into Dark Maze, and we're just gonna leave behind. What is it? The Harmless Hellway, the Vanilla Big Key chest, whatever is on Helmasaur, and the big chest, as Mike does not have that pod big key.
And yeah, since this is a pendant and those other locations are all locked behind all 6 pod smalls, won't feel bad at all about leaving those 4 there.
And that should also be complete information for Mal, who just checked his map to see the pendants on Pod and Mire. There we go. Boots in the dark basement of Pod. So that will give Mire access. That will give us some ways to do some stuff in GT, which is a little bit more questionable logically. I think also technically logically right now those boots are out of logic because they are locked by 4 pod smalls. But there are so many pod small keys floating around. It's sort of like the lamp. It's one of those things that runners don't usually worry too much about the logic of, because it's probably just, it's actually in logic. They're just some weird one-off locations you didn't want to check. But that's the ice rod locked behind 6 pod smalls. So definitely a very productive dip into Palace of Darkness for Structural Mike, and is then just going to head back out and knock out these other couple of entrances in Misery Mire area. And Malxantholos, meanwhile, did get that Hera Big Key off of Catfish, and will chase it immediately. Jake Cooper having a little bit of trouble getting onto this correct track of progression at this point in the seed. Just went up and got scammed by Zora.
Yeah, what he needs on the other side there, Jake Cooper. Meanwhile, the Structural Mike did find that Swamp Small.
And the dam immediately afterwards, so
Hookshot and some keys?
Yeah, it's feeling that way. The Eastern Palace Big Key would be really good for him to find soon, because that would get him into Eastern for that Fire Rod as well. Oldorm really not playing nicely with our runners today.
Yeah, really holding on to those mitts with a death grip. And like I mentioned before, we were just talking about how Structural Mike needed 8 to 10 items, and all of a sudden, these Crosskey seeds, one item usually holds a lot of them behind them. And Mike is now just a couple items away from being good to go.
I was just saying Jay Coper was not really on the finding the right track, but he is also here in Hera, going to grab his mitts.
And Mike finds the big key entrance, the Turtle Rock, and some fresh threads in the first chest. I didn't know it was possible to roll Moldorm on expert mode in these seeds.
Yeah, I guess we learn something new every day.
Moldorm is feisty today. And these runners are going to do it again and before beating this seed too, because Ganon's Tower is required. Mal doing the one check that none of the other runners have been able to do yet here and here, the spaceman check. If this is a hook shot, it's real gross.
Ooh, and there's that nice find. That is the Eastern Palace Big Key for Structural Mike. That will probably get him to his Fire Rod fairly soon. And Jay Coper making the logical play. I'd forgotten how close Hera was to this Ice Palace entrance, so it is a good place to go next, as Coper also finds his first sword in Hype Cave.
Yeah, not only is Mike going to lead Mike to his Fire Rod, he's going to lead him to a second sword as well.
And I think the Eastern Palace entrance is Thieves Town, if I remember correctly.
That is correct.
Here is Mike's second sword.
Yeah, and that bow. So right now it's a matter of Mike getting over to find that flute on Death Mountain and then getting over to Mire area for Mal. Mike needs to get over to Eastern Palace. Going to grab his second sword here in Desert. And Jay Coper is got a lot of strands to pull together at this point.
Yeah, the mitts were definitely very good for him, and it looks like he's walking toward his flute right now. That's going to be pretty big as well. So that will get him back on the right track in a big hurry.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mal might be headed that way as well. Mike going to head into Ice Palace here. Going to have a bit of a sort of advantage on what Mal had coming in here. Those boots as well. So a lot of time is going to be saved and made up here for Mike in this dungeon. As Mal gets his flute.
Yeah, item-wise, that hookshot is still escaping us. Feels like it could be maybe right side of GT. Makes me a little suspicious. Could be in Mire. Now that we have those boots to actually get in past the front door.
Yeah, those are the two most suspect places for me as well. And there's a chance it's just sitting in swamp somewhere. It's kind of like the worst case scenario for a Crosskeys runner is an item is French vanilla or vanilla.
Yeah, I mean, when has this randomizer ever put hookshot in swamp, though?
There are a few places now. It could be. There's one more place in GT it could be in now as well. Now we found boots. We're getting to the point again where you either have pendant dungeon dips or kind of miserable one-off locations to try and find this hookshot, and that is really the last item we need item-wise. Still need a GT Big Key as well.
Yeah, and this is just me, but it feels like you sort of think, okay, as soon as I found the hookshot, I'm pretty much done, because either the keys I need are just in dungeons that I'm just going to go start beating, or they're in that bunch of items that the hookshot unlocks on the left side of GT, so...
And I'm not sure how many smalls we found for GT yet.
So Mal is dropping into this Mothula fight, while Jay Cooper is choosing to chase the Smith chain with those mitts that he just found.
Have other runners done any of this Smith stuff yet?
They have not. I think Mike went straight to Misery Mire after activating his flute, and probably Jay Cooper is there in the near future since he just did the flute activation while he was in the area as well.
Oh, bad death here for Mal. I don't know, no fair. You're gonna have to start this fight over with Mothula.
It looks like he's not excited about trying again at the moment. Yeah, he is just going to go ahead and see what we can do in Mire. All those entrances are more tempting than going back in for a Mothula fight while you're tilted about it.
Yeah, it's a really admirable decision. I know a lot of runners will just kind of beat their head against a fight longer than they need to. Takes a lot of moxie to say I can do this later. It's not that long to get back there. Yeah, it sucks I died, but I don't want to lose a race over just dying here 5 or 6 times. So it looks like the Smith chain paid out with just a Cane of Burna, which we already have the cape, so not really much of a payout here. And Jay Cooper joining Mal in the Mire area. We're going to find Pod, they're going to find some boots, find all kinds of goodies.
as Mike gets through that Cold Stare fight pretty nicely. Also had the advantage of that blue mail in addition to the Master Sword.
Yeah, it can be a lot more aggressive with half magic. Not even having Fire Rod, though, so like the magic meter not really a big issue. Could have popped on Cape if you wanted to. But that Master Sword really speeding the fight up significantly. And both our other runners now in Palace of Darkness will collect some goodies in here. Meanwhile, our first look at Swamp House here on Mike's side of the screen.
And of course, the hookshotless Swamp Dip is not nearly as painful in Crosskeys, since in regular modes, the longest time commitment to getting into Swamp is doing the whole mirror and pull the dam thing, but since that just is permanent in Crosskeys, it's not so bad to come in here without the hookshot.
Poor Jake Cooper just getting absolutely bodied trying to dive down into the Southwest basement. Mal picking up his boots.
And Mal with a couple extra keys will get some extra checks here. Gets a bee in a bottle out of the Harmless Hellway.
Yeah, the one interesting though is these extra checks, none of them are in logic based on pod key logic. So it's very unlikely we're going to find something that really opens a seat up in these locations. That does help a lot though, that big key, that big chest having silver arrows for Mal.
Yeah, that's very nice. I wonder if we'll also see Mal could take a Death Warp here, save and continue back to the front of the dungeon, and then use this last key to open up the vanilla big key location, and then just hard reset if it's nothing. But looks like he's just going to use the key and assume that we're never having to beat Helma this seed.
Yeah, I think I would have done the save scum here myself. There's a non-zero chance you're going to have to beat this Helmasaur. It's highly unlikely, but there is a chance that Hookshot is that place we don't want to talk about.
Yeah, it is definitely possible. I mean, we've been talking about Meyer this whole time, and it is one of our pendants, so...
Yeah, I think I would have... well, choosing to do the little right side here, I might do the save scum at this point, but already used that last small key to get over here. So at this point, gonna take what you got.
Yeah, and to do the save scum, you can't mirror back to the entrance. You've got to do a save and quit back to the... or save and continue back to the entrance, so...
Jake Cooper's one less key is going to have to settle for whatever he gets here.
Yeah, and the annoying thing about missing the hammer yump there is you've got to leave the super tile to reset the collapsing bridge, so you have to go all the way back down to the basement.
He's already opened up the Harmless Hellway door. I would just headed down there and started doing the hammer up from the bottom. That way, if you fail it, you just have to move one screen to exit the super tile. That was really close and didn't happen there. Honestly, I'm not sure what happened with that that hammer jump. It looked like he was on the ledge for a second and just fell off.
And Structural Mike, finishing out what he can do in Swamp there, finds the fourth sword of the game overall on the left side of Swamp, so he has now got Tempered.
No hook shot there. I'd be heading to Misery Mire as quickly as I could. And Mal, being the only person with that pod big key, is the only person that's going to get silver this seed, almost assuredly.
Yeah, at this point, if any of our runners have to come back into pod for just the big chest, or maybe the big chest and Helmosaur, something has gone horribly wrong with this seed, but it does happen from time to time in Crosskeys. So, question in chat: the Eastern Palace big key was on Laser Bridge.
Yeah, and both runners may reach that location at this point. If I remember correctly, the eastern entrance is in the mire area. As Jake Oper now has full information. Gets his swamp small.
And looks like Mal is sharing some of our suspicions about GT is going to go through the right side to Compass Room. Will probably then bonk through the left side, would be my guess. Even though the hookshot is not over there, unless it's in that one check the map room, there still might be some useful keys on that side of GT.
Well, the only key that is needed at this point, maybe one Charter Rock small, and then the GT big. I would think about just not bonking at this point. Like, you know, you're not going to find the hook shot except for maybe one check over there. The map chest is the only chest over there that can have the hook shot. And if you're just looking for a GT big at this point, why not put it off? Why not check other dungeons first?
Yeah, that is a fair point, because we are going to have to come back to GT to beat Aga 2 eventually. So,
and Mal having some problems on the right hand side, tried to walk it all the way to Armos from there, and didn't make it. Didn't have enough magic to really cape across the bridge room, and we'll leave the Armos items still in the ether.
oh no. Oh, Structural Mike has gotten himself in a very frustrating spot there, mirrored directly on top of that thief who runs away from you, and will give a little speech if you run into him. But if you mirror on top of him, it just takes forever to get away. Did manage to save and quit out of that, so...
Yeah, there are some fun NPCs that have a lot of extended text in the randomizer you just never want to run into. He's one of them. The two guys on top of Death Mountain on the Dark World side, their text is much longer than it is in the vanilla game.
Got two runners in different parts of Turtle Rock. Malxantholos pulling off the hardest trick in the game and remembering that he doesn't have the hook shot, and does this room properly.
Yeah, I've never failed this trick before, that's for sure. Jake Cooper's going to get that Eastern Palace big here in just a moment. Nothing on the Firelock side. Although all these Misery Mire small keys are starting to look a little suspicious too.
Yeah, Mike is in Eastern Palace. I don't remember if Jay Coper knows where that Eastern Palace entrance is.
I don't believe Jay Cooper has been into Eastern Palace yet. I don't think he's been over to Village Outcast since getting the Moon Pearl.
Yeah, that's the downside of doing some of that bunny walking that he was doing before. Sometimes you wind up isolating the one or two entrances that you can't look into. Okay, Siberian, one of our trackers, has mentioned that he saw the entrance before. It's a good time, by the way, to shout out our trackers, Blibberl, Saberyu, X, and Siberian, who are keeping all of this madness straight today.
Alright, so Jay Cooper is heading into a Village Outcast area. This might be the Eastern play now that he has that Eastern Palace big key, which will get him another sword. Mal taking dance number 2 with Mothula. Does get the job done this time. And there's that GT big key. So now we are just looking for a hook shot.
Yeah, so you were 100% correct. Skipping the left side of GT turning out to be a very good play there, since hookshot can't be over there. Although Mal
he's gonna head over
back in.
Yeah, he's gonna head over and probably just take a look at this one check. So, the map chest over here is in Logic with just Boots box. I'm not sure if it's in Logic with this few GT small keys though.
Although we should say, we're saying that this dip is not needed, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Mal knows that, right? So, like, for example,
Mal
she's looking for?
Well, is he still looking for... Oh, he's still looking for Turok, I guess. No, he's not looking for... He's literally only looking for the hook shot. He should not be over here. Oh, he has not found the Eastern Palace big key. Okay, that makes a little more sense then.
Oh, unlucky that with his key situation, he is skipping that map chest, which would be the one spot where the hookshot might be on this side.
Yeah, so we know from our seat that nothing can be over here at this point. Except the hookshot can be behind Armos, because you can get there from the east side. But it's going to cost him all of his small keys to do it.
Yeah, and since the GT climb is required, that might cause some issues later if one of those GT big keys is hard to track down.
Absolutely. We gotta get our first look at Armos Knights on Jay Cooper's side. This could be a fun location for that hookshot.
Again, you keep using this word fun. That
And this is a way more fun location than a lot of them can be in this seed. That's for sure.
That's true. At least it's on a crystal boss.
Alright. Hookshot can be here. It is not. And I think given our key count, we've only found maybe one, maybe two GT smalls. So the options of where that hookshot can be upstairs are kind of limited as well. Magic Mat has our third Turtle Rock small. With access to the back of Turtle Rock through the west entrance. I think that's good enough to put Trinex into logic.
I think it's still all four, logically speaking, just because you could use your keys in a dumb way, but
True.
as we're going to see this bonkable chest in Hookshot Cave. Imagine the hookshot here. Nope, just a small key to pod. Puts our ice rod closer to being in logic.
Yeah, that ice rod is locked in behind all 6 pod smalls. If I was Mal at this point, I'd be heading to Misery Mire.
So Jacob did go ahead and fake powder before actually turning in that mushroom.
Have other runners turned in this mushroom yet?
I don't remember seeing it.
Yeah, I haven't seen either of them do it either. Thankfully, like I said earlier, the magic shop is kind of close to the back of Old Man, so not too far to go to see what this prize is going to be. Just some cash. You saw Jay Cooper bomb himself before heading to the magic shop, so he could use that red potion, drink it, buy a green to refill his magic, and then buy a blue for later.
Yeah, that's very heads up to make that a really efficient trip to the potion shop while you're there.
Mal's going to do the Smith chain. And Mike is going to get through this bridge where Mal could not. So we will get to see these Armos Knights pretty soon as Jay Cooper gets his Tempered Sword.
Yeah, and seeing a lot of backtracking from our runners here, covering ground that the other ones have already hit, because they're all having that same idea about where this hookshot might possibly be based on these items that we sort of found in the mid to late game.
Remember how we spent like the first hour and 15 minutes of the seed with like no swords, and now everyone's got tempered or better?
Yeah,
I guess Mal is still on Master Sword, but we've got one runner on Gold Sword and one runner on Tempered.
it's at least the upside of when you get a full clear type of seed, as Crosskeys seeds so often are, is at least you have a lot of fun weapons by the end.
Ice Armos with 19 arrows, not the most comfortable of fights. Does have this gold sword though, so not a problem. I'm gonna save a few arrows and prepare to make the climb as well.
Yeah, I guess we haven't talked. I don't know if any of these runners are hoverers or Moldorm bouncers. but Hookshot is, of course, the logical way to get across that gap after Moldorm 2, but there are various fun ways around it.
Yeah, whether or not someone can hover is not something they put on their advertisements and their player card. I don't know if Mike got to Stalfos' room earlier, or has just realized that the hookshot is the only thing he needs at this point.
Yeah, it is feeling like he is just looking for the hookshot, so not going to do any more of that left side than he needs to.
And with that cave, it tells me that Structural Mike is not a hoverer. I guess it doesn't matter if you're looking at the hookshot, it doesn't matter if you hover or not, because you're not going to find the hookshot in those other 3 chests. One more Turtle Rock Small that'll get Mike to the boss. It looks like.
Yeah, and we just saw Jay Coper taking on Trinex, whereas Mal is going to find his Eastern Palace Big Key here in a second. I'm just in here thinking it's so hard to really tell who's ahead at a certain point in a Crosskeys seed, because you just have to check so much of the map. You're going to do it in such weird orders that it's really hard to say exactly who's ahead where, because Jay Coper has gotten a couple of crystals in the last 15-20 minutes, so...
Yeah, really, at this point, it's all come down to an item hunt, and unfortunately, Hookshot's one of those items that can be in so many different places.
That Castle Tower key on the green pendant turn-in reminds us of one of those annoying one-off locations. We have not seen the Dark Maze chest in Agate Tower, I believe.
Yeah, that Castle Tower was kind of a pain to get to. It's on the left-hand entrance of Maze Race. So Mal has his Eastern Palace Big Key and is making his way directly there.
Okay, once again, Tracker is keeping me straight that Jay Coper has checked that second chest in Agate Tower, so we don't have to worry about that one.
Yeah, the dungeon that everyone has avoided at this point, and where the likely location of Hookshot is Misery Mire.
Yeah, it is really starting to feel that way. I mean, I'm trying to think about if there are any entrances we haven't checked. I feel like between our runners, we've seen pretty much all of them. A lot of these one-off locations like Spike Cave and Mimic Cave, people have gotten back to, so we know it's not going to be there.
Yeah, we've seen all of our big item entrance caves. There might be a couple one-item caves left in the game, but we've seen Paradox, we've seen Mini Moldorm, we've seen Hype Cave, we've seen Blind's Hut, we've seen everything that brings a lot of items to the table. And we've got access to every zone in the world at this point, so we're not looking for a connector to get somewhere. So at this point, it's just a matter of getting back to the most dense location, and Misery Mire at this point is the most dense item location.
Yeah, it'll just be a matter of when one of our runners finishes up the other things they have to do that feel a little bit better than that to them, like Jake Coper in left side of GT, things like that, since one runner has to exhaust all of the possibilities before they get down to that Misery Mire dip.
It feels a little strange to me that it's taken this long, because Misery Mire is honestly very close to one of your starting locations. It's over at the Fortune Teller in Dark World, which is 2 screens away from where you start, essentially from Link's house. Yeah. You go to the Dark World. Oh, we see a book. That's intriguing. Not going to have the hookshot behind it because it's hookshot locked.
Yeah, we do see Structural Mike is going to make this climb, really hoping that hookshot is on the top. This feels like a pretty big gamble to me, unless Mike can get across that Moldorm gap even without the hookshot.
Yeah, we don't know if he can hover or not. He chose not to hover hookshot K, but there was no reason to, as we're just looking for the hookshot to end this item hunt. So if he doesn't know how to do it, he's probably going to load up a tutorial on the side. For the Moldorm bounce, at least. Do have a pedestal check on Mal's side, and it is just money. So Helmasaur King is not going to be locking that hookshot unless it's on Helmasaur itself. Which, to be fair, we know all 6 pod smalls are locking Ganon progression anyways, with Ice Rod being in Dark Maze.
Yeah, so Helma definitely will be as in logic as everything else we do by the end of the seed. Alright, so Mike is through the gauntlet, really hoping to find that hookshot in the next 3 chests that he's got to look in.
And Mal Xanthalos is finally making this Misery Mire dive. Jay Coper is not. Jay Coper was just over there. Jay Coper has not finished Ice Palace yet, and that is a crystal. That is higher priority for him than Misery Mire would be. And there it is. There is the hookshot in Misery Mire, and that is go mode for Malxanthalos, unless he might need a GT key at this point.
Oh man, Mike is going for the Moldorm bounce. So this is a difficult trick to set up. You really need Moldorm to sort of cooperate with you. Basically, the idea is you get hit by a bomb explosion and spin off of Moldorm's head on the exact same frame, and at that point, you get this weird kickback, and it knocks you all the way across the gap if you have done it right.
Yeah, I feel like if you're going to make the climb, you have to commit to at least trying this a few times. You're going to need the hookshot to beat the game anyways, because Swamp is required, but you don't want to have to make this climb a second time if you don't have to.
Oh, yeah, Moldorm was just drifting too far away from the bomb there.
And this looks like Mike is going to head over to Misery Mire as well.
Yeah, that's just such a painful trip to climb all the way up GT and not really get anything out of it.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate for Mike. Like I was saying earlier, I'm not sure if Mal has a GT small or not. That might be something that he is still looking for. I know he's been in GT once. May have spent all his keys there. Choosing to skip over our waterfall chest, so either does have that GT small in his inventory or might regret that decision in a little bit.
Yeah, that's one that you don't really think about. Even as an experienced Key Sanity player, you know, it's only 1 seed out of 8 that you actually have to do AGA 2 to get access to cannons, and so often GT small keys are not really a concern, so yeah, if that comes back to bite Mal, that would hurt a lot.
Yeah, because you'll always find GT keys. They're like candy. They're everywhere. But Mal might be in a position where not having done a lot of the basement of GT already might come back to burn him.
There's our fastest cold stare fight yet for Jay Coper. Well equipped with that tempered sword.
Yeah, and Mal gonna go head over to get crystal number 7 now at Turtle Rock. Yeah, it's cut through desert to get there. Oh, getting the sword first. That makes sense. I forgot that Mal had not picked up the sword off the Torching Desert as of yet.
Now Mike dipping into Mire to get his hook shot.
That'll feel really bad for Mike when he finds it. On the bright side, it is very early in this dungeon, so it'll be literally his first check in this dungeon. So Mal has another problem, and that is 0 Turtle Rock small keys right now.
Ooh, that feels bad. Okay, Lava Chest is still closed. Has he gotten this Pokey Key yet, or has he just dodged this?
He may have just dodged this, which will be a blessing in disguise. Just don't bump the door. Don't bump the door. There you go. All right. Jay Cooper finish off Mothula getting his GT big.
And we see there ZSR bot in chat is starting to announce a couple of finishers in this race.
Yeah, I will remind you that finishing first in this doesn't really get you anything, but finishing 11th gets you absolutely nothing. The top 10 finishers will get to move on to brackets in this race. So all 3 of these runners still live for it, but the clock is now ticking.
Yeah, and if they're looking at the race chat, you know, you start to maybe wonder if you're going to metagame a little bit. Do you think, oh, should I have just climbed Ganon's tower already? Was it some one-off location that somebody else got to before me? It really does start to mess with your head a fair bit.
Yeah, that might have made Jay Cooper's decision to head to Meyer right now for him seeing those times show up. If he is watching the race chat, I know a lot of runners just don't watch the race chat until they're done. But seeing finishes like that tells me if I'm watching the chat that this seed is a lot less complicated than I've made it. And our first runner to 7 crystals here in just a moment. Well, is it going to be Mounds or going to be Mike? It's going to be real close between these two. There is crystal number 7 for Malzanthelos. Still a gain this tower climb away from beating the seed. Same for Structural Mike, who picks up his 7th crystal.
That was a very nice phase 2 of Argus there from Mike. Jay Cooper getting a little bit unlucky, choosing to do the right side, check the big chest, before heading over to the left to find that hook shot.
Yeah, the Crosskeys runners tend to like to do that left side first. Jay Cooper choosing not to this time, and it is going to burn him. Jay Cooper's going to go to the boss first before checking that left-hand side. That is really unfortunate. The only thing that could make me think for him to prioritize right side over left side is if he's only found 2 Meyer small keys.
Yeah, I mean, he's sitting at 3 in his inventory, though, so... I mean, doing right side first doesn't feel that out of the ordinary, but going to the boss here before even checking the compass chest on the left side feels a little bit odd to me.
Meanwhile, we've got Mal and Mike almost in the same room, neck for neck in this climb. It's really just a matter of execution at this point between these two runners, and they may be playing for one spot at this point. We have 8 people finished already, 2 more spots in the brackets. Chat bringing up a good point. Mal does have silvers for this fight, whereas Structural Mike does not. So that will be a big time advantage for Mal at the actual Ganon fight. Meanwhile, Jay Cooper beats Misery Meyer, beats Vitreous, picks up a pendant, does not choose to go back in.
Looks like he's thinking about Hera Basement, kind of weighing his options here, but skipping the cutscene chest is a pretty common thing, but skipping the compass chest, I don't know.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is he's only found 2 Meyer Smalls and doesn't think that those 2 chests are in logic.
Yeah, that might be the case. Or again, it might be metagaming here, right? I mean, you might have been sort of not wanting to go into Swamp without the hook shot, but maybe thinking, oh, people who did go into Swamp just found the hook shot there, and that's why they're finishing already. But yeah, it's sort of hard to tell what's going through a racer's mind at this point, because you're just trying to just rack your brain for where that hook shot is going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So it looks like Mike is going to make it out of Ganon's tower first, but Mal does have the silver arrow advantage. But we do have our 10th place finisher. So unfortunately, one of these runners is going to win on stream here, but none of them are going to make it to the bracket stage.
Yeah, as we said at the top, 16 people overall in this race, fighting for 10 spots. These were all the runners who went 6 and 2 in the Swiss pairings and the preliminary stages of this tournament. So, I mean, there's definitely no shame in that. The Crosskeys tournament is stacked with really great runners, and with only 16 making it into the bracket stages, they faced a lot of stiff competition today.
Yeah, absolutely. That's just the top 10% of the field. We had over 160 runners in this tournament, almost 170. And yeah, even getting into this play-in race is a really amazing job for these three runners. Structural Mike in on the Ganon fight right now. Does have a full phase advantage over Mal. And once again, Mal does have those silver arrows. Mike already into phase 3.
Oh, and Mal got the that mid-left pattern for the 1-1 and just barely missed it. Got the spin in, but didn't quite get the slash in time.
Yeah, we see the sword difference paying a little bit of advantage there on Mike's side.
But Mike will have to do these 12 spins, whereas Mal's phase 4 will be much faster.
Yeah, Mal is about to enter phase 4 here, so Mike, only about a third of the way through this phase 4, I don't think is gonna be able to keep this lead up, but we will see. Anything can happen as a fall happens to Mal.
Yeah, Miles Anthelos just trying to go fast there at the end, and unfortunately trying to set up for the silver arrow, and gets sniped and knocked off that platform.
Meanwhile, Mike, after a little bit of a shaky start here to phase 4, does clean it up and is going to be our first place finisher on the stream on this channel. Looks like he's going to finish in 13th place overall. And there, get your GGs in chat for Structural Mike, finishing with a time of 2 hours, 17 minutes and 23 seconds.
And Mal on his second trip in here, showing off some fun cane strats here. Use that cane as sort of a block so that you can get double spins off on Ganon.
Alright, back into phase 4 for Malxantholos. Fires an arrow in the wrong direction there. Can't fire a second arrow while it's in the air. Does get it done though, so let's get those GGs in chat for Malxantholos. We'll be crossing a bridge here shortly and putting a finishing time up. And there you have it, with a official time of 2 hours, 18 minutes, and 44 seconds. 2 hours, 18 minutes, and 47 seconds. Malzanthos finishes in 15th place, getting sniped there at the end by Cario.
And as we said before, 15th overall in this race, but that puts you 23rd out of the 150, 160 runners who entered this tournament overall. So congrats to all of these runners for their performance in the tourney to this point.
We'll see if we have any of our runners joining us in for some post-match commentary. And we are joined by Structural Mike and Jay Cooper. GG's on the race, both of you, on tough seat. Really just disconnected logic in a lot of places.
Thanks, guys. GG's. That was an amazing race to be part of.
GG. Yeah, our restream here certainly didn't show up well, that's for sure. But what can you do? So yeah, someone needs to tell me where the hookshot is.
Hookshot is in Stalfos room in Meyer.
Stalfos room.
The compass
The
room.
compass chest.
Okay,
Yeah.
I thought one of the Meyer smalls was out of logic, so I didn't check it. I thought it was like left side of GT or something. It must have been at the bottom of GT. I don't remember. Either way, it didn't matter. I was clearly like in last place regardless. So, yeah, that wasn't fun. I was late to the Pearl, and that made me late to the Flute, and that made me late to the Boots, and everything else. So, yeah. Anyway, thanks for putting this on. Congrats on finishing, at least, Mike.
Thank you. I'm just happy to be part of something interesting. I had a similar problem with the hook shots, that I thought Maya was out of logic. Boots needed 4 pod small keys, and I was like, I have 2 out of logic small keys here locked by hook shots, and then I couldn't read my notes because my handwriting is terrible. It was 1 small and 1 big key. That's why I didn't go into Meyer until I had climbed GT first. And only then did I realize that, oh, actually I have 4 small keys in logic. I just can't read. And first check in Meyer, I got my hookshot, and it's like, oh, great. I could have been here 6 minutes ago.
Yeah, it was interesting. I think that Malzanthalos was actually the only one of you who actually had 4 keys on that first trip into pod. So yeah, the effects of those pod keys on logic were a little bit unfortunate for you two, it sounds like.
Yeah. But at least I got to fail a Moldon Bond on Restream, so I got that going for me. But no, it was fun. I liked the seed. It went relatively well, apart from finding hookshot in the end. And, my tournament ends here, but I am pleased with my result. It's my first Crosskeys tournament. I for one, am pleased with my result. Absolutely.
Yeah, nothing to be ashamed of at all. 6-2 in a field this stacked is really impressive. One funny thing early in the seed, about 25-30 minutes in, we saw each of you 3 runners. We weren't able to get Mal in here for this, but each of you had like one piece of movement puzzle. Jay Cooper, you had the hammer. Mike, you had the glove out of Skull Woods that you bunny revived for, and then Mal had found the Moon Pearl before anyone else, but didn't have either of those other two items for a long time. And we were sitting here just trying to figure out who was going to put the puzzle together first in that first section of the race.
Yeah, it was fun in getting that glove and taking a very roundabout way into Higher Castle to get my hammer by mirroring through the Dark World. I was like, oh, I should have been here earlier. I think my best find was actually going back to the mountain for the flute later, because that cave on the West Death Mountain is awkward to get back to, and I'm just happy I remembered to get that flute. So that was pleasing to see that payoff.
Yeah, there were just so many of those key items that were in such odd locations. The hammer in Darkcross, the pearl at the Spiral Cave entrance, and then that flute, on West Dark Mountain. So
Yeah, absolutely. These seeds are the most interesting seeds to play, where logic really matters, keeping track of the logic, and having hookshot go mode is one of the most interesting things to me, because so much things can lock hookshot and you can sequence break it in so many ways, and you really have to keep track of like what can you do and what should you not do now. Like Hera Basement was out of logic, and Left Side GT was out of logic, and so on. And I almost succeeded in tracking it, but those who succeeded in keeping all that in their heads really had a huge payoff in this seed. And that's the cool stuff about Crosskeys, I think.
Yeah. I don't know. This isn't a good time of day for me to focus that much. So. Oh. I don't know if I have anything. I can't complain about the seed at all for sure, because if I could pick a type of seed to get, this would definitely be high on the list. Yeah, but wish I would have played better and maybe got a little luckier. Certainly did a lot of things that I didn't have to, and did some things poorly, but also did some things well. So getting to the top 16 is definitely not something that I ever imagined. So even getting to this point is it's pretty darn good. The Crosskeys community is pretty deep with a lot of really good players. So yeah, like Mike said, it's just it's good to finish this high, even if the end was very inglorious here. But yeah, that's gonna do it for me. Thanks guys for doing all the commentary, tracking, and restreaming business. I really appreciate it, both as runner and admin. So thanks.
yeah, thanks, absolutely, and yeah, once again, congrats for a really good run in this tournament. Even if just fell a little bit short of brackets, it was a lot of really great play that got you this far. So congrats on that.
It's Cinder. Thank you so much for the restream. I love to be part of this. Every time I get restreamed, it's a privilege, and I hope it was enjoyable for both the comms, the trackers, the chat, obviously, the viewers, and I hope to be back again at Sunday. And until then, I'm going to follow the brackets, because there's a stacked bracket coming up that is going to be even more interesting, I think. Very hype over this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just talent all the way up and down. So thank you again, Structural Mike. Thank you again, Jay Cooper. If you aren't following those runners yet, we got those links in chat for you for Jay Cooper, Mal Xanthalos, and Structural Mike. Give those three a follow. They really earned it today. And another big shout out as well to our trackers, Saber UX, Liberal, and Siberian, for keeping things straight so we can focus on the action. Cool Papa Bell, it's been quite a journey today. Unfortunately, no one here made it to the brackets, but a great race overall otherwise.
Yeah, a lot of fun to watch, a lot of really interesting logic, and as Jacob was saying, really tricky to follow that all the way through. So thanks again, and shout outs to our runners for putting on a great show for us, and thanks to you for letting me hop in the booth with you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a pleasure. Brackets will be starting next week, so that's going to be it for Crosskeys. Until next week, we get those matchups squared away for you. You can follow the tournament Discord if you're in there, or follow all of the Zelda Speedruns channels to find out when those restreams are for top 16 action. But that's going to be it for us today.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We've got right now an Ocarina of Time randomizer grand finals going on. So we're going to just send everyone right over there where the Zelda speedruns action will continue. Thanks a lot.